While staying at a hotel room in Ireland, Roisin O'Brien grabs her dad to show him something bizarre. A ghost is moving a cup on its own, she tells him. Of course, nothing happens and she looks like a total liar until suddenly...
That's freaky.
The cup moves all by itself to the edge of the glass shelf and then stops. There is no string around it that I can see, and besides, she is holding her phone and her dad is sitting on the bed clear across the room with his back turned, so no one was messing with it. She resets it, and as soon as she complains that it takes the ghost a long time, the cup moves instantly.
Like it's taken ages for it to go, you see.
So let's just say there was string tied around the cup. Her father is now standing to the right of her, so if it was him, then the cup should pull to the right in his direction. Instead, it moves straight ahead and stops exactly on the edge of the shelf, same as before. The shelf is level and there is no moisture around the rim to make it slide like that. This is glass on glass, you can hear the friction.
Ages for it to go, you see.
She's right. The cup is moving on its own, maybe from a ghost. A dad and a daughter are all smiles as they board an elevator. The ride is smooth and they look at themselves in the mirror for about 30 seconds, completely unaware of how unsafe they actually are. Minutes later, the empty elevator is ripping past floors with enough speed to shake the entire carriage. The door is slightly open and nothing is working properly as the lift slams into the roof hard enough to dislodge panels and light fixtures. Thankfully, no passengers were on board, but had the two from earlier still been inside, it would have been a daddy-daughter demise for certain. I can only wonder how many times something like this has almost happened to you or me without realizing. Most people know not to move after they've been in a wreck, but a TikToker named XOXO Kate is getting turned up in a car that's been turned upside down. Through a shattered windshield, you can see they've been struck and are now hanging suspended. I know that their adrenaline is high, and the video is definitely an original idea, but I feel like they could have had internal damage to their organs that they don't feel at the moment and could be making worse. Moving their head around with a concussion would likewise make the situation worse than it had to have been. Like I said, this video is interesting, and I'm glad they weren't thrown from the car, because the aftermath looks really serious, but I think the proper procedure would be not to move until an ambulance arrives. A YouTube channel called Exploring with Eric waits until 3 a.m. to communicate with the other side at a cemetery in Japan. He sets up the spirit box and waits to be contacted. They soon sense the presence of a lonely ghost and a single word comes across their equipment. Apparently the spirit understands its surrounding and knows exactly where it is.
Japan.
It's the Japan.
It's Japan.
The spirit box continues to chirp out static until the waves clear and this phrase comes out. What they're jealous of, I'm guessing, is the fact that Eric is still alive. They probably should leave by now, but curiosity compels them to stay put until the camera goes out of focus, almost like somebody is very near, maybe even in front of them, and I'm not sure, but I think I hear the name Eric spoken in a thick Japanese accent. More spirits seem to find Eric, and by the end of the video, an invisible congregation has formed all around him, and he finds himself is surrounded by hushed threats and whispers of regret. I think this voice is real, because the spirit box only gets a little bit of activity at first, and finishes with a chorus of voices. Two friends are taking a swim in the clear blue seas. One of them does the backstroke and incidentally saves them both from disaster.
Oh, get in the boat, get in the boat. Look, he's right there. He's right there. What the f is that? Get in the boat, get in the boat, get in the boat, get in the boat. Get in the shark right there. No shit. I'm not kidding.
And it wasn't just passing by either. The shark doubles back for a second look, no doubt tracking their scent to the exact area where they just were.
Look at him, he's coming right here. Oh!
Published by Urban Ghost Hunters in February of 2020. This paranormal crew investigated a haunted 19th century church in rural Tennessee with urban legends surrounding it, involving dark rituals from the 60s onward, and reports of shadow figures and disembodied voices there. It was ripe for investigation, and the crew wasn't disappointed. After placing a Bible on the candlelit railing in the church, something in there was angered by it. I guess this church lives up to its haunted reputation. An employee walks by when the corner of her hand cart gets caught on the corner of this looming wall display. She shakes it loose with a sharp tug, sending an entire wall of spiky pegged hooks cascading down. It looks like she gets taken out pretty badly. Then at the very end, she's standing off to the side, stunned but still okay. I'm so glad she is okay, but the thought of how this could have went wrong makes me still wish I hadn't seen this video. These two videos were taken the same day in Zurich, the largest city in Switzerland. They show a mysterious light repeatedly glowing in a cloud above. The light turns on and shuts off over and over again. The light is seen again from another angle. This time it spreads across in multiple segments, and it appears to be pulsing differently. I tend to agree that they're concert lights, but if I didn't know any better, I think the Swiss are about to be abducted. A YouTuber named Jonathan Russo is renovating a room in his home when he discovers something out of place. He taps on a bottom portion of the wall and it sounds hollow, so he cuts away a hole.
And I find a hidden room underneath the house.
The space is lined with old bricks and carries an ominous and foreboding atmosphere. Jonathan feels very out of place and doesn't stay for long.
It's pretty creepy.
The room itself appears to have no structural purpose and seems to be walled off for no reason. This, combined with Jonathan's reluctance to go any further, raises some questions. I wonder what happened in there, if anything, that would cause a previous owner to seal it away. Police arrive to find a mother of two is seeing things on the roof while holding her two children. She doesn't believe a word anyone has to say and thinks everyone is out to get her. Now it's up to them to bring everybody down safely. They climb onto the narrow ledge, and there's barely enough room for a grown man to stand. She is in such an anxious, delusional state that not even a legitimate badge and uniform are enough to convince her. My analysis of this part is that she thinks that he is putting away his badge too quickly, which in her mind means it must be fake.
Where's your badge?
There you go.
Okay, really?
Yeah, real.
No, really, let me see.
Yeah, right here. See? It says police.
Sergeant?
Yeah.
Eventually, she thinks he is real, but then she thinks his partner is an imposter. She reads his name tag out loud and freaks out.
No, who are you? Point blank? Point blank? Body adventure? No, point blank!
I think his name is Blaine Points or something like that, but I can't figure out what the significance is to her. Also, it sounds like she calls him a body avenger, whatever that means. At this point, she is so frantic that she might lose her balance. So the cops have to grab the kids by the arm and get into a terrifying tug of war. The poor kid has an adult pulling on each arm. The situation is probably horrifying for them. Eventually, the police win and round the children up, who sadly probably won't be seeing their mother again until well into their teenage years, if ever. Ryan fears his house is haunted. After seeing some scary things in the basement, he goes exploring and gets through most of the downstairs area until there's only a few places left to check, but just when he thinks his house might not be haunted after all.
Oh my. Oh.
Up the stairs runs a mysterious figure, a scary shadow person sighting if I've ever seen one. Maybe the steps are carpeted to muffle its footsteps, but it's beyond creepy how fast the shadow moves without making a sound. Ryan's scared reaction sounds about as realistic as it gets. He freaks out and runs away, and then walks to the steps where he last saw it as he regains his sense. Against his better judgment, he looks up and waits. He knows something is up there, but he cannot explain what it is, nor bring himself to face it. A scary sound, not quite a hiss, not quite a howl, not a moan, just a creepy warning noise comes down the stairs. He does the smartest thing anybody could do in this situation: stop exploring, get your keys, and run. All of the other rooms of this abandoned church on Long Island look normal, yet the chandeliers on the middle floor are going crazy. Jay Brennan claims to have seen shadow figures all over this video too, so be sure to tell me if you happen to see them. Just the fact that he isn't willing to go inside at all shows exactly how creepy this situation really must have been. The lights continue to go on and off. For some reason, at the 3-minute 35-second mark, they seem to get even more intense, almost like they are feeding off his mortal energy just from standing so near. He returns the next day to prove that this church really was abandoned and no longer in service. After all, no active church would leave their courtyard in such a state of disarray. But that's not all. Jay Brennan did some major research on this church and discovered that it had 3 separate fires and was struck by lightning twice. He provides the links in the description of the video so you can read them for yourself. Maybe these flickering lights were caused by one of the spirits from the cemetery next door. A YouTuber named Stromedy takes a drone above a gigantic field and finds 3 people in long black robes gathered around a small object on the floor, possibly a book or an offering of some kind. Here you can see the square object again, though it's now gray for some reason instead of black like before. They throw it to the ground and begin to circle around it in what could be a second phase of the ritual, probably chanting the whole while too, I would imagine. And I don't know if this is a reflection of the sun or what, but at 13 minutes and 7 seconds this eerie red light washes over them all. Stromedy loses control over the drone as soon as it is spotted by them. Now you can see they are all wearing white masks. One of the members, the only one with a hood over his head, and possibly the leader, reaches up. The drone obediently flies closer, despite Stromedy holding the opposite direction on the controls. The leader releases control of the drone and hastily picks up the square object. Then they retreat to 3 corners and form a mysterious triangle, backs turned. Should anyone recognize this ritual, please let me know what it all means, because it's got me freaking out. I Thought All Dogs Go to Heaven, published by Awkwardly Quiet Gamers in April of 2018. This security footage shows a dark but busy sidewalk at around 2 in the morning. A woman is seen standing to the left. A dog or cat comes into view on the right, as does another lady. They both pass by in the night. That's when the ghost dog comes into frame. Unlike the last animal's starker image, this one is slightly blurred and transparent. It runs along the sidewalk and then disappears out of sight. Meanwhile, the lady is making strange moves along the sidewalk. What is going on here? Is this ghost dog playing one last game of fetch with its owner? I hope that's the case. The audio of this dashcam video will haunt you. At around noon in October 2014, in Indianapolis, Indiana, a woman was sitting in her car outside an office building with a dashcam recording in process. In the video, a person can be seen walking past her vehicle wearing a strange mask, while the footage only shows one individual. According to the woman, there were 5 of them total out of sight. You can hear the woman laughing as she asks the group where they got their masks. But soon she learns that this isn't a joke as they smash out her windows and rob her. The woman was pulled out of her vehicle by her hair and thrown on the ground by a woman in a face mask and camo jacket. The attacker then took the woman's cell phone and purse. It seems this wasn't the group's first attack of the day. They were also charged with breaking the window of a moving car. Looks like we're not even safe sitting in a parking lot. A YouTuber called Douglas Cash stands at the entrance of these caves in the Bahamas. The stunning scenery grows less colorful and more claustrophobic as he takes a few hesitant steps inside. Soon he finds himself staring down a tunnel that looks barely large enough to support a human when a wild shriek fills his ears. Listen to this and tell me what it could possibly be, animal or otherwise.
Well, you know I ain't going down yet, right?
Whatever it is, it sounds about medium-sized, but vicious enough to tear your throat out if given the chance. Even Douglas doesn't seem to recognize the menacing noise and decides not to go any deeper. But since he did come all the way out to this area by foot to do some exploring, he decides to hang around the cave entrance for just a bit longer. After all, it's brighter here, and he doubts whatever he heard is going to come out of the darkness. He explores for another 2 minutes or so, studying the natural rock formations and whatnot, and then decides to call it a day. But unknown to him, looking back at him from the darkness are two glowing eyes that quickly disappear, and if you listen closely, you can hear some kind of chittering language that could indicate a certain level of intelligence. Gorman Sujin is inspecting his new apartment with a camera to document any damages left from the tenants before him. He gets through all the rooms and the balcony without problem, but after reviewing the video later, he realizes that he is far from being home alone. A woman in white appears suspended in midair. I don't see a rope, but I will say she is next to the shower rod, and her feet are not touching the ground. I wouldn't be surprised if this is what became of the last person who lived here. This footage comes to us from Holland. A group of friends are exploring a park and decide to visit some watchtowers from World War II. The towers are closed for vandalism and it looks like their trip is over. Little did they know they were about to see something much more interesting than a cluster of abandoned towers could ever be.
Kerel, dat is echt een wilde zwijn hoor.
Kijk dan. What the fuck is dat?
Hey!
Kerel,
Hey!
A large black figure is observing their movements from somewhere in the distance. It looks like it is trying to hide behind a tree, which shows that it has some level of intelligence, but it does a poor job and gets spotted immediately. They began shouting for the humanoid to come out. Suddenly, a series of banging noises fills the forest and sends them running. When one of them enhances the camera footage, this is what they find glaring at them. Then again, I guess it's hard to glare at someone when you have no face. Whatever this humanoid was doing, it looked like it was up to trouble. The group might have been easily attacked if they didn't try to scare it off. Get thee to a nunnery. That's what this ghost of a nun did, and it didn't turn out well for her. Dima from YouTube channel A Sip of Fear encounters the nun's ghost in this scary video. First, he sees an unexplained shadow. Then he hears an unexplained noise.
Кто здесь?
He senses something in this abandoned church. Still not seeing anything, a Steadicam captures a quiet noise at night. Later, footsteps are heard. While we don't get a glimpse of the notorious nun, I can feel her presence in this sacred place, and it sure doesn't feel holy. A popular YouTuber named Shark is brought to this allegedly haunted location after his friend had a ghost sighting here the last time he went exploring.
And this is Marco. This is the guy, you saw the ghost, right?
Yeah, but I saw
You actually saw a ghost?
a ghost, man.
You're not even kidding?
I'm dead serious.
Just kind of want to come here, see if we see anything paranormal, see if anything's going on, because right when he told me that, I was like, okay, we need to come here.
They are approaching an old historic house when a mysterious figure is caught on camera in the courtyard.
Bush, dude, that's not moving.
No, it's moving. Oh, yeah. It's moving back and forth. No, it's moving.
Just
don't move. It's like,
I'm zoomed in all the way.
it's like swaying back and forth.
They argue whether or not the mysterious figure is alive, and then the object moves, so it's presumably a person. If this was a maintenance worker or a security guard, then they would probably have a flashlight, and they would also probably ask what's going on, not stand in place being as creepy as possible without making a sound. And what happens next is creepy beyond all explanation.
No. Wait, yo, she's actually moving.
It moved. Bro, it's gone, bro.
The mysterious figure seemingly disappears on camera, although when played in slow motion, it kind of looks like they simply stepped backwards out of the light and into the darkness. Still creepy either way.
Literally right here was where it was. Dude, what?
There's nothing there.
Was that literally just a random girl or something?
I don't know what it was. It looked like a
It kind of looked like it had long hair, so I think it may have been a girl.
A ghost girl, to be precise. I don't necessarily see long hair like he claims, but I'll take his word for it. And 1 minute later, they turn around to see the same shadowy figure now standing in the very place where they were at the beginning of this 3 a.m. video. I think this is probably a paranormal event and most likely a ghost sighting of a little girl like they claim. The ghostly shadow figure doesn't seem much taller than the railing that it's standing beside. And here's a scary moment you probably missed. Watch this window. At 4 minutes and 25 seconds, the light is on, and as soon as they see the figure, the light turns off by itself. It could be a timer, but it's a small detail that makes me think this is not planned and is, in fact, a paranormal event. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.